Welcome back for another edition of the Kaufman Corner podcast. Merry Christmas to you as we give you some fresh Royals talk here on Christmas Day. If you're already fed up with the family, we're here for you, right? We wish you a Merry Christmas from all of us here at Kaufman Corner. Of course, Les Norman, former Royal, Breaking the Norm, his great show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. David Lesky from Inside the Crown. My name is Soren Petro, and we're going to give our top 10 pitchers in Royals history. Remember back on Thanksgiving, we gave you our top 10 hitters. Now we're going to do our top 10 pitchers. How many relievers made it? How much is a Cy Young worth? Is it a Career Achievement Award, or does it come down to some of the best seasons that Royals pitchers have had? That's what we're doing here. And again, we're doing it for you. So have a Merry Christmas and enjoy a little Kaufman Corner here on Christmas Day.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
All right, thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here with the Kaufman Corner Christmas edition, giving you our top 10 pitchers in Royals history. And just real quick, David, anything you learned from doing this? Anything jump at you that you were kind of surprised at by going through the exercise?
Yeah, a little bit actually, because you look at the starting pitchers in Royals history, and I broke it up, starters and relievers, then melded the list. The Royals don't have a lot of great starters in franchise history, which is weird because they have historically, let's forget the 22-year period where they didn't or whatever it was, but they've historically pitched really well. And you look at the list, and what was the number? There's 11 guys have thrown 1,000 innings as a starter for the Royals. 11 in franchise history. 1,000, and especially when you consider 200 innings was pretty standard until what? 2008, 2010, whatever. Only 11 guys have thrown 1,000 innings as a Royals starter. I would have gone into that thinking, it was 15, 20, 22, 11. So made it a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a little bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah. Les, anything jump at you going through putting the list together?
Yeah, I think there's that as well. I mean, I think I picked up on that a little bit. I think that one of the things is you guys do such a great job of numbers and analytical, statistical stuff, and I'm not as strong in that. So sometimes my brain, I'm like, wow, maybe I throw a little bit too emotion in this or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of our lists we're gonna have some of the same guys, like in my just missed it, but there's one in there that is more kind of an emotional but statistical in there as well. So I'm just trying to train my mind as I get older and get closer to 60 years old. But yeah, it's I just think differently than you guys sometimes, but it makes it more fun.
The thing that jumped at
it's your list, not the list. So
right.
That's important.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing the differences in how we think about things. And so I'm going to stick with how I think about things, but I also learn stuff from you guys. So that just makes it fun.
I went into this thinking that maybe no reliever would make the list. And I'm shocked at how many relievers did make my list. That's what surprised me. And I'm happy because I think they've been important people, important pitchers in Royals history. So that's what kind of surprised me. All right, let's kick it off. David, you want to take the honors? Who's your number one pitcher?
Yeah, number one. This probably comes as no surprise if you followed me for any amount of time, or Rany. It's Kevin Napier.
Okay.
I think he is the best pitcher in Royals history. And a lot of people might scoff a little bit at that, but as a
oh, sorry,
as a Royal, 1,843 innings, I think it was, as a starter. Actually, at 1819 as a starter because he had some innings as a reliever. But we're looking at his whole body of work.
Yes. But, don't forget those 34 innings of relief.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But I mean, 8th best ERA in franchise history. He threw innings. He was, before he got hurt, before the porch injury. If you remember, he hurt himself carrying some like gifts from a baby shower for his sister or something like that. I can't remember the exact story, but before he got hurt, I mean, he was top 3 in Cy Young. He was the guy, and I think he's maybe one of the most underrated pitchers. I don't know about in history, but in Royals history for sure. I think he's the best. I think he's the best they've had. I also, let's talk about emotion. It's 4 starts, but the 4 starts he made in 2003 on that team, those were really fun. Those were really fun to see him come back and, just be useful. And it's funny because he struck out 5 guys in 19 innings and walked 7, but he had a 4.26 ERA, and he helped those 2003 Royals
he had a
bizarrely good.
He had a masterful performance against the Yankees that year.
Yes.
And I was standing there, being an old guy that knew him from his first go round. And I was standing out by the elevator when it was time to go up, and he had come out. And one of the Yankees came out and said, good game, nice night, or nice, way to throw. I just was very complimentary towards me. He goes, "Smoke and mirrors, man. Smoke and mirrors." It's like,
well,
he knew he didn't have his stuff anymore, but he pitched, he dazzled him. That was one of my favorite Kevin Napier moments. Was
for sure.
He was self-aware. He knew where he was in his career. He wasn't kidding himself. But in a game, in a race, he went out and he dazzled the Yankees, and it was really cool.
And 6 days later, he gave up 6 runs to them in 6 innings. And like 2 weeks earlier, he'd given up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning against them with the Angels. So it almost made that even more magical. That it was I think it was 3 or 4 games he pitched against the Yankees, because his last game with the Angels, he pitched against the Yankees, and he came to the Royals and pitched against the Devil Rays. That's how long ago it was. And then it was Yankees, and one of them was great, and the other 2 were not. So, but. Yeah, he's my number one.
Les, where did you have Napier? Is he tops on your list?
I had him at 7. He's
okay.
on the list, but I had him down at 7. For all the things that David said, he's going to make my list. It was, I mean, he did have the 115 wins, the 349, almost 1,500 Ks was amazing. So he was my top 10. It was just so many of these guys are close for me, but Napier was definitely on the list. I remember my first major league experience when I got called up for the first time in May of 95. They were in Milwaukee. And so we go to Milwaukee, and Boone says, "Grab a catcher's mitt and go warm up Napier between innings." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." So when I went out there, I grew up in Chicago. So what Boone was trying to do was have the back of my jersey be seen by the 50 or 60 fans that drove up from Chicago to Milwaukee. And so the look on Napier's face when he saw me trotting out there, he was just like, "Oh man, this rookie's coming out." And Napier's slider did 7 different things, and he's telling me what he's throwing, and I dropped 3 of them. They were right in front of me, but it was just hard to catch. I'd never seen that, nor was I a catcher.
Right.
So he was an amazing dude, and one of the most intellectually smart people. He was so intelligent, and just to hear him talk even away from the field was just amazing. He had a lot upstairs, man. So maybe that smoke and mirrors day, he didn't just have the physical talent and the ability with that crazy windup and pitch delivery, but he was really smart and understood the game. So not near the top, but still on my all-time top 10 at 7.
Yeah, I remember.
Did you ever face him?
Apier,
Did you ever
one time.
Did you ever bat him?
One time, and it was not pleasant. I think I might have. I don't know this. I either struck out or like grounded out weakly, or I don't remember. But I just remember his slider was not much at the time. It was near the end of his career, and I think it might have even been in AAA. I don't know, but he threw me like this ball that was inside, and so I gave up on it, thinking it was a ball. And his slider had almost nothing, but just enough to clip the inside corner. And I took it and looked up at him, and he just started laughing at me. Because he knew that I knew what he could and couldn't do, but yet I still had no control over his brain. So yeah, it was funny.
Real
Kevin
quick,
Aber
I want to give my favorite Apier game because it embodies him perfectly. And I remember this vividly. He gave up one hit to the Rangers and lost a complete game, 1-0, because it was obviously a home run. I remember that game. Somebody, I think might have been Gary Gaetti, hit a ball off the top of the wall that kind of just teetered and then came back. That would have been like, because the Royals had, I think, 10 hits that game. And that was the Kevin Apier experience. Brilliant, but got a loss.
Yeah, that really was. He was number 2 on my list overall. So, all right, Les, who's number 1 on your list?
Split, Paul Splittorff.
Okay.
I had Split at number 1. The 166 wins obviously was something that glared out. Almost 400 games started. Was just an amazing line for me. 392, 87 complete games is another workhorse kind of thing for me, and over 2,500 innings pitched. I just think he was really valuable and kind of that go-to guy, tough guy on the mound. So yeah, he was my 1.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the longevity, the durability there for some of the great Royals teams. Split made my list at number 8. Did he make your list, David?
Yeah, it's funny. I split it. I split. He was number 5. So we had 1, 8, and 5, which kind of embodies what I was saying. It's kind of hard to pick 1 through 10 on this pitching staff.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I mean, but what an amazing career and what a great guy as well. I'll talk about that, on it. Always loved sitting and talking baseball. Witty guy, great, storyteller, and a really good broadcaster as well. He was not many guys, he became the play-by-play guy, right? I mean, like that doesn't, maybe it happens a little bit more today where it's kind of become a little more talk radio in the booth. But back in the day where your job was to lay out the story and everything, he would handle the lead. And that's not something that many former players, sorry, Les, end up doing. I mean, so yeah, Split was, I knew Split was going to make my list. I didn't care what the numbers ended up saying. I was like, Paul Splittorff is going to be in my top 10. And then you get to the numbers and he absolutely, the more pitches, more innings than anybody's ever thrown in a Royals uniform. That right there, you don't have that kind of longevity unless you're really good. So yeah, love having Split on the list. And I love that he's at the top of yours, Les. I think that's fantastic because I'm a huge Splittorff fan. All right, David, who you got at number 2 then?
Well, who's your number 1? Did you already say?
Oh, no, I didn't. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Brett Saberhagen is number 1 for me. A couple of Cy Youngs, the performance in the postseason. He's up there on career statistics. He's not at the top, but to me, nobody, he was arguably the best pitcher in baseball there every other year for the Royals, as it would turn out, right? His odd years were always the best. And I thought, the number of innings he threw, you look back on it and not a big guy either. Plus just his ability to control the baseball. Brett Saberhagen, like this was one that when I went into it, I mentioned Split was going to be on the list. Brett Saberhagen was going to be number 1. Like before I looked at anything, I was putting Brett Saberhagen top of the list. To me, he was the most impactful guy for the Royals, and he was in the middle of, a world championship. So, Brett Saberhagen's number 1 on my list. So, and, I mentioned Kevin Apier was number 2. I would have no problem. I have no problem with either one of the other guys, Split or Apier, being up at the top. But Brett Saberhagen to me was dominant in the World Series. That the best postseason performance by a pitcher is Brett Saberhagen. So that's why he made number 1 for me. So who you got number 2, David?
Yeah, Saberhagen. He was number 2 for me. And it was, I kind of almost a coin flip between him and Apier for me. But he was incredible with the Royals. And you look at like you mentioned, the innings, the Cy Youngs, playoff performances, Plus, if not for Brett Saberhagen, we never would have gotten the Hal McRae tirade because they wouldn't have been able to trade for Keith Miller. So it's perfect. But yeah, no, Saberhagen easy number 2 for me. Could have been, like I said, could have easily been number 1 also.
Okay. All right. Who's number 2? Or where do you have Saberhagen? Let's do that, Les. Let's take Saberhagen.
I've got Saberhagen 6.
Okay.
Again, he obviously would have made my list and all the things that you guys said, but the glaring things for me, maybe I should have had him higher. I'm not sure. It was tough, but only 331 walks in 1,660 innings pitched is amazing to me. And again, I'm throwing this stat out that you guys would normally throw, but a 1.13 whip is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys could have gone anywhere. And as you were talking, Soren, I'm thinking, he did all those things like in the World Series as a kid. I mean, he was a kid in the big leagues doing all that stuff. And to be able to be a kid years-wise, but be a veteran, ability and poise and mentality is truly amazing. So he could have gone higher. I just placed him at 6.
His 1989 season, 23-6 with a 2.16 ERA, led the league with 262 in the third innings.
Wow. Okay, maybe I should have had him higher.
3 fewer hits than innings pitched.
Yeah,
like that's great. One other thing, number 1 and 2 on ERA plus. So ERA relative to the league, Apier 130 in Royals history as a starter. Apier 130, Saberhagen 128. I mean, relative to the league, those two ERA wise were head and shoulders better than anybody.
Yeah, he was amazing, and it was a tough day when they traded him. I understand why they did it. It's kind of where they sit today. They needed offense. They needed bats. Greg Jeffries, Kevin McReynolds, and Keith Miller. It
made sense. I mean, it did make sense.
It did.
The Mets guys.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Number 2. Then we need number 2 on because I've got Apier 2. Les, who's number 2 on your list?
I had Quiz. I threw a reliever up there early. I threw Quiz in there. Again, 238 saves. He wasn't the leader, of course. Monty was, but a 3-time All-Star. He led in saves 5 times. He averaged 1.73 innings per save, which I think is a pretty good stat. And another low walk. I mean, only 92 walks. I mean, that's incredible to me. Top 5 in the Cy Young 5 times, half a home run per 9 innings. And he had like it from 80 to 87 and had like a 2.4 earned run average, which I thought was pretty good and thought that he meant a lot. So I just have a heart for Quiz and what he used to do. And then, of course, the last thing I'll say is anybody in my career, minor or big league career, that threw like that, I might be 0 for a lifetime on those submarine guys. I mean, I used to go, like they say George used to beat up the trash can with the bat or whatever. I've heard that story before. I never saw it, but heard the story. That may or may not have been me after facing a Submariner guy. I never faced Quiz, of course. I was a little bit too young, but then the guy was just awesome and nasty.
Yeah, he was. Quisenberry makes my list. I'll throw out. I've got him at number 4 on the list. David, did he make your list?
He made it at number 9.
Okay.
It might have been 8. No, it's number 9. And in some ways, in an early iteration of the list, I had him at 5, and then I thought, well, he's a reliever. I can't put him. I started struggling with having a reliever that high, and then you start to look at it. He had more innings than most starters in franchise history. So I'm not even convicted in number 9 on that, but I think it's a good time to talk about Quiz because we, what was it last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever, Tyler Rogers signed $37 million deal. He's the modern day Quiz. I mean, Dan Quizberry didn't strike guys out, partially because the style didn't call for it, and partially because the era didn't call for it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Quisenberry finished top 3 in the Cy Young 4 consecutive seasons. He threw as a reliever from 82 to 84 or 82 to 85. Those are the 4 years. 136 and 2/3, 139, 129 and a third, 129. I did not look this up, so I want to look it up really fast. But I'm curious how many Royals actually threw that many innings this season. I think it's maybe 2. Let's see. We've got. I'm sorry, 4.
5 seasons where he's well over 100 innings out of the
bullpen. 5 seasons where he threw more innings than all but 4 Royals did this season, and they're all starters. It was Waka, Lugo, Lorenzen, and Cameron. it was a different era, and so that's what kind of makes it a little bit difficult. But I mean, obviously, I had him as he's the only reliever on my list, so
yeah,
clearly my best reliever.
Led the league in saves 5 times, led the leagues in games finished 4 times. So, like, he's piling up all those innings, but he's also still finishing the games. So he's in at the most important times. And you mentioned finishing that high in Cy Young speaks to how valuable he was in that era, how valuable they thought he was. Yeah, he was another guy that I was like, he will be on the list. I just have to figure out where it is. But in my head, when I sat down, I'm like, I know there's Quisenberry is going on the list. He was the one reliever that I was absolutely going to find a place to put on this list. All right, so we continue with our breakdowns. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Kaufman Corner is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee's Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-thru and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
All right, continuing with our top 10 pitchers, just to sum up, we've got at the top, Les has Paul Splitter from Dan Quisenberry, 1-2. David has Kevin Appier and Brett Saberhagen, 1-2. I have Brett Saberhagen and Kevin Appier flip-flop from David Lesky at 1-2. So we're ready for number 3, and I think this is where some paths will continue to diverge, would be my guess. Who's number 3 on your list, David?
It is Zach Greinke. I think I'm guessing I'm higher than you guys on that.
Nope, Zach's number 3 on mine as well.
Oh, okay. Well,
got it right with me.
You got him 3 also?
No. I said, He said I'm guessing it's higher. So for me,
Gotcha.
Lower, but...
Wait, if we all had it at 3, then I must have been wrong.
Real quick, where'd you have him, Les? Did he make the list?
He made the list. He was down to 8. Okay. Now he probably would have, had he pitched more for the Royals and not gone, he probably would have been 1-2.
Yeah,
somewhere for me. I mean, he was just that impressive. The only reason he was lower is just because he didn't pitch as much.
Yeah, if he'd spent his whole career in a Royals uniform, he'd have been number 1 on my list. But David, what did you love about him? I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just the 2009 season. We talk about, Les, you mentioned heart and not always looking at the numbers, and that was a special year just to be able to watch. And we hadn't had a lot to cheer about for the Royals in a very long time. And Zach Greinke Day was a thing. I mean, it truly was. It was, okay, Greinke's pitching. The Royals actually can win a game. And he flirted with the sub-2 ERA, ended up at, I think it was 2.16, the same as Saberhagen's 89. Yeah, it was 2.16. And then he eventually would have it. Yeah, he was incredible. He would have a sub-2 ERA, 1.66 for the Dodgers in 2015. Career, Greinke might be the best pitcher in history to pitch for the Royals. Arguably, I think that you could make that case probably. But his time with the Royals, it was still really good, and that includes the 2005 season that was just horrific. I mean, 5.80 ERA and 183 innings. He had 233 hits that year, but overall, he's still 112 ERA plus. Obviously figured some things out when he came back. The other thing, and this is a personal story. So 2007, my dad had a quintuple bypass in September, and it was, I think on a Monday, and those take some time, and he's still in the hospital on a Thursday. Royals, White Sox, Zach Greinke had just gotten back into the rotation. It was probably his 4th start, maybe I could look it up, 4th or 5th. And he was absolutely dominant. And I remember sitting with my dad while he's in a hospital bed recovering from quintuple bypass, watching Zach Greinke just shove, and we're just both into it like crazy. Day game. I think I took the day off work or something to hang out with him. Or I took the week off because of the surgery, whatever. that sticks with me. And that's where the heart of Zach Greinke for me comes in, because he gave me that story, which is really cool. But also a legitimately great pitcher. And then look, he came back, and no, his 2023 was not great. He was pretty good in 22. I mean, that team stunk out loud, but 137 innings, 368 ERA. The peripherals weren't awful. He gave a lot of hits, but I mean, even that late in his career. And so when he goes into the Hall of Fame, I think there's a pretty good chance he goes in as a Royal. And
I would love that.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't, honestly. So, yeah, he's number 3 for me for all those reasons.
Yeah, Zach is one of my favorite interviews of all time, and I would talk to him once at spring training, and his last year with the Royals, he turned me down because it was, he would started becoming more open about some of the anxiety issues and different things. But I love talking to him. He's so honest. He is so genuine. I think he's a really, really smart guy. And just the way his mind works just fascinates me. He was a pitching savant. I'll never forget the touch gene, hey, you didn't really pitch that much before the Royals drafted you, but you throw strikes. Like, guys spend their whole career trying to be able to throw strikes, and it just comes natural. Like, why is that? Why do you think that is? The touch gene. I've always had the touch gene. I made all my free throws. I can putt. When I played volleyball, I had a wicked jump serve, and I would find the kid on the other team who wasn't very good, and I would pound it. It was just so fantastic. I mean, just so genuine, and I could just see Zach with a volleyball in his hand in a gym and throwing it. I'm like, okay, there he is. Boom. Fired it in there.
Just scanning.
Yeah. He was great. He was great. I love it. I love having him on this list, and would love to have a conversation with him about anything, anytime. Heard some great ones about him talking about real estate, different things. Just fascinating guy. Fascinating guy. All right, who's number 3 on your list, Les?
Number 3 is Dennis Leonard.
Okay.
I put Leo up there. I mean, the 144 wins, 3.70 earned run average were great. Now, remember, he's going to be higher on my list because over the last probably 10 years, doing alumni clinics in different cities and having different trips, I've had the honor of sitting in a van or a car, just picking his brain and guys like John Mayberry's brain, and just talking about the era and facing hitters and just learning from Dennis Leonard. But the 2 things that have stood out for me that keep him up there is 103 complete games. I mean, that blows me away, and that's why he's on the list. 23 shutouts, and he had a couple of years in there where he had a bad knee as well. So, this was an easy top 5 for me. Love Leo, and 103 complete games is a guy I imagine how many times his managers came out to the mound and just said, just turn around. I don't know if this is what he said, but I picture him saying something like, just walk away. I'm not leaving this game. So that's incredible durability and bulldog mentality from the bump.
7 years, over 200 innings, and not just barely clearing it. 212, 259, 292, 294, 236, 280. Led the league in 81 with 201. Leo is on my list as well. I got him at number 5. And I just, for people that, or don't know, he's just stats on a page. I love the time that you've spent with him, Les. But this town, when you mentioned the knee injury, when he came back, it was a massive deal. Everyone, how excited. I think I was at the game when he pitched the first time, and in Kansas City when he came back. I don't know if it was his first game back or his first game back in Kansas City, but just the excitement of the fans and the appreciation of the fans. I just remember how everyone was just thrilled to have him back. It just spoke to how much he really touched Royals fans with his abilities, and he was just the absolute bulldog up on the mound. He was great. I love this. The red hair, the sideburns, if you want a picture of 70s pitchers, it's him. It's Dennis Leonard. He was the guy. Yeah. Did he make your list, David?
Oh yeah, he was number 6 for me.
Okay.
I really real quick want to say I was looking at my list. I put one pitcher twice, so I actually have 2 relievers on there now.
Okay.
I was like, oh, you're number 6.
That was so good. He gets 2 of your spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been. It was actually 7 and 10. But anyway, yeah. So I had Dennis Leonard 6. Yeah, everything you guys have said, the innings, the complete games. I wonder a little bit if I was 10 years older than I am, if he would have been higher. Because Dennis Leonard, from what I know, obviously I didn't see him. I was born in 85, so I barely saw him pitch and I don't remember any of it. But he to me seems like the type of guy that the aura grows when you see him, when you watch him. And so I hear the stories from my family and my parents who love baseball and why I love baseball and all that. I didn't get to watch it. I didn't get to experience it. So I wonder if he would have been higher had I gotten to experience it. But I mean, still 6 is pretty good. Just incredible 2,100 innings, 2,200 innings total. 144 wins. Is that second in franchise history? I think it is. Second in franchise history. Just incredible pitcher. Easy top 6. Like I said, maybe would have been higher if I had seen him.
Yeah. He was amazing. And like I said, I'll never forget just how appreciative the fans were when he came back. And big knee brace on. I mean, that's the first time I remember, like, oh wow, what is that? It was this giant knee brace under his uniform. It was amazing when he came back. And you wonder what he would have been if he hadn't had the knee injury. How many more numbers he would have piled up there. All right, who's number 4 on your list, David?
Number 4 is Mark Gubicza.
Okay.
It's funny. I feel like he gets forgotten because he was behind Brett Saberhagen and then behind Kevin Appier in the rotation. Mark Gubicza was incredible. You look at the numbers and 2,100 innings as a starter for the Royals. Ended up playing 2,200 through some relief innings too. 132 wins. Just outstanding pitcher. Injuries obviously sapped the fastball toward the end of his, toward the end in total, but his time with the Royals as well. But I mean, every single year, consistently posting up. I think he and Appier both are, I think, really underrated among Royals fans. Like everybody knows who he is, but just like I said, an outstanding pitcher. I was super bummed when he did he get traded or did he leave as a free agent? I think it was a free agent.
He got traded for Chili Davis.
Oh, you're right. That's right. And Chili Davis was good for the Royals. But I was so upset. I loved Mark Gubicza and just a great pitcher who deserves way more recognition than he gets.
Well,
I think
it was actually a great trade for the Royals because he would throw only 4 2/3 innings for the Angels, and the Royals got a 30 home run hitting, switch hitting DH in Chili Davis that year. And what I think is amazing to speak about Mark Gubicza, who's another one of my favorite guys to talk to. Mark Gubicza threw 4 2/3 innings for the Angels, but he clearly made such an impression that organization that he's been calling their games for years. Mm-hmm. Right? Like he's
good too.
He's really
good. He's Splittorf level good.
Yeah. He is absolutely fantastic as an announcer. And not to replace anybody here, but I was always like, why are the Royals not going and getting this guy? Well, I think he's a California guy. I think he's living in California. I don't know that he ever wanted to come back here, which he enjoys coming back here. You see him at different events and things, but he just absolutely fantastic. And a little known fact, his wife's maiden name, Petro. How about that?
Did not know that.
And she is
you
a delightful
tell people you guys are related.
I just was chatting. I can't remember what event it was, but just chatting. And with her, and they're a great couple. By the way, if you wanted to okay, who's the best looking couple in the history of Royals baseball? It's the Gubiczas, right? Like both of them. He was, all the girls loved Gubicza. But I also remember trying to. I didn't have the curls, but when mullets were in, trying to have the Gubicza. If I could have had the Gubicza, action going on behind the hat. But she's a delightful person. They're just, the Gubiczas are great. And I love talking about clubhouse guys that I know, and I always love the guys, like, who are the great guys? Gubas is always one of the guys they mention as being one of the great guys. So you're talking about a person who's good to people as well. Because Les, I'm sure you've seen some guys that were complete jackasses to the clubhouse guys, and Gubas was always one of the best. So where did he make your list, Les?
He was also number 4,
Okay.
and stats were obviously awesome. And I can say all those things, but Mark Gubas was the team leader in 95 and 96 in the clubhouse. He was unequivocally the team leader. You could ask every single guy on that team, and I'm positive that they would have said Mark Gubas. There were days in spring training or during the season that I would want to come in early where I was at the hotel and I just wanted to get there, just start working out and lift or hit or whatever. And there's Gooby, man, in his T-shirt and shorts, just busting it, muscles ripping out of his body, just, getting after it, sweating. And you could tell he didn't just get there. He'd been there for a long time. I mean, he was a workhorse. He kept things level. I remember at a restaurant one time, I was sitting there eating and pulled my wallet out. And, if we were in the same place, he was like, "Hey, Rook, if I'm around, don't be pulling that wallet out." I mean, just taking care of rookies. And there's just so much of a leader in him. And he's one of the guys that him and Monty are the two guys that I will always remember made it possible for me to keep myself from getting too overwhelmed or anxious at the big league level. Just an amazing dude.
Yeah, that is awesome to hear because I've never had a bad experience with that
Never.
guy. I mean, just absolute class everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got Mark Gubas at number 6, by the way. So now we are to David had Paul Splittorff at number 5. So the next spot, I had Dennis Leonard at number 5. So now the next spot that's open is number 5 for you, Les. Who's number 5 on your list?
Monty, Jeff Montgomery, threw my reliever up there high. Again, partially because he was a teammate, and this is an undersized guy. In the big leagues. I mean, Monty was not your 6'4", 220 through 100 miles an hour, but the guy commanded the zone. He had a nasty curveball. He was just a competitor. I mean, when he ran out of that bullpen to come in the game, there was a look on his face that was for me, that was the only time that you saw his face like that. And it was one of those where if you were an opposing hitter, it was like, uh-oh. Here he comes. I mean, 304 saves, his all-time saves leader, 3-time All-Star. There's a 5-year span where he had a 2.2 earned run average. And just, again, being an undersized guy when I had played in the big leagues, we had a very similar build, obviously different positions. But, man, it was he looked like an underdog, but he played and pitched like one of the absolute best in the game. And again, also the clubhouse leader as well. So he was my 5.
Yeah. Monty made my list as well. He's at number 9. You said you've got a second reliever. Did he make yours, David?
He was number 12 originally until I realized there was somebody on there twice. He was number 11 on my list.
Okay.
And we'll get to my number 10, a reliever. The reason I went with number 10 over Monty was the importance of the games.
Okay.
And that's not Monty's fault at all, which
kind
of stinks, but it is what it is. I will great Montgomery story. And I don't know if he remembers this at all, but I umpired out at 3-2 when I was in high school, and he must have just retired, I guess. And he was coaching a team, and I got his team a lot. And every single game after the game, he would come up, shake my hand. Good job, Blue. Great game called. And I'm like, it was not a great game called. That was terrible. I am. These are like 9-year-olds who can't throw the ball anywhere near the plate. I'm just guessing at this point. And every single time he had a great word to say. Just a great guy. On the great guys list, he's top 4. But just missed my list.
Yeah, I have the pleasure of getting to work, at a company that Monty's one of the owners, and having him around there, especially he used to be around all the time before he got back into the broadcasting for the team, and so now we don't see him as often. But class act, tremendous pitcher, first guy to take issue with something when I was reporting on the team, and I went to talk to him, and he didn't have time, and so I went to there was a left-hander that was a Rule 5 guy.
Billy Brewer.
Billy Brewer. What was it, Billy Brewer? I think it was
he was
Billy
Rule
Brewer.
5 guy. Yeah.
I think it was Billy Brewer. Yeah. And I said, and he had his locker right next to mine. I said, "Oh, you got a minute, Billy?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was there. I had to do these Royal reports, right, on 1510. And so I needed a cut, and I wanted to do a thing about, Montgomery was coming up for a contract. So I wanted to talk to Montgomery about his contract, but he didn't have time. And I go, okay, Billy, you got me? He goes, yeah. I go, Billy, and this is my ignorance. I just went right into it. I'm like, Billy, a lot of speculation on whether or not Jeff Montgomery's going to be back as the closer. Do you think you're ready to step in if that happens? And Jeff goes, come here a minute. Walks me out into the hall and goes, blah, blah. And I was like, I know, but this is why I'm doing it. I asked you first, and he's like, okay, I understand. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll meet you in the dugout. And then he sat there and talked to me for like 15 minutes. It was great. Like, he didn't like what I was asking, but he was a man about it. He didn't piss and moan. He's like, hold on, and took the time to talk to me and said, okay, I understand what you want to do. I am the guy that should be talking about that, not Billy Brewer. And so I'll meet you in the dugout in like 10 minutes. Like, total stand-up guy.
A lot of guys wouldn't have given you the time. They just would have got mad and chose to stay mad. So that's a class act.
Yeah. Or they'd have barked at me and then stormed off and not talked to me.
Right.
And when I explained to him what it was I was doing and why I was, he's like, okay, I understand. Give me like 10 minutes. I'll meet you in the dugout. It was great. I mean, it was like a total pro. All right. We are flying along here. I think we've only got about 5 more to get to. We will do that after you hear from our friends at Whataburger.
This isn't just any burger run. This is a burger run for Whataburger Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger. 2 fresh all-beef patties with melty cheese, grilled onions, crispy bacon, and sweet and spicy pepper sauce. One for you, one for him, and one for your unofficial roommate, Brad. Always order an extra. For Brad. The all-time favorite sweet and spicy bacon burger from Whataburger. Just like you like it.
Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, rolling along here as we give you our top 10 Royals pitchers of all time. So we are all the way through number 6. We had Jeff Montgomery was at number 9 for me. Just missed. He was at number 11 on David's. So now at number 6 was Brett Saberhagen for Les. 6 was Dennis Leonard for David. 6 was Mark Gubiza for me. Les had Apier at number 7. I had my number 7 hasn't come up yet. David, your number 7 has not come up yet. Who do you have at 7?
My number 7 is Steve Busby, who should have had a longer career. And I think if he pitched 25 years later, would have had a longer career. But
because they wouldn't have overworked him the way they did?
That, I think that there's better surgical responses, all of it. But, 2 no-hitters, the numbers he put up, and I know it's really mostly about his first 5 seasons because, he had a pretty solid 79 ERA-wise, but he walked more than he struck out in those years. But, you look at those seasons, 73, 238 innings, 74, 292 innings, 75, 260 innings. That's what ended it. But I just think the 2 no-hitters for me in an organization that just, I know no-hitters aren't that important and they're kind of fluky, but I think that's worthwhile. And he was dominant. When he was dominant, he was dominant. And that's why he made my list. It's funny because I mentioned the iterations of my list. Originally, he was actually, because I went 1 through 15 just to kind of work it out. He started off at number 12, and then I just kept moving him up. And I was like, maybe he's actually number 10. No, maybe number 9, maybe number 8, end up at 7. Just the dominance when he was there was too good for me to pass up.
Yeah. You guys, that's the first one that didn't make my list. But just barely. I wanted him on the list. I thought I was going to put him on the list because of the 2 no-hitters. But when I looked at the longevity, the quantity of innings, the quantity of seasons, I ended up leaving him off. And not because I want, and I'm also an accomplished broadcaster, by the way, with the Texas Rangers. But I wanted him on there, but I just, like, as I kept looking at other guys, I'm like, I just can't, I can't leave Split off. I can't leave, I can't put him on over this guy. And he ended up getting bumped down, but I'm really glad he did make your list, because I'm glad we get to talk about him, because I think the 2 no-hitters does count for something. And he was dominant. And it is a shame that the surgical procedures weren't better, because, he was one of those guys that was great and then was gone because they just couldn't fix him. And, a brilliant pitcher. Did he make your list, Les?
If we had a list of just the starters without the relievers, he would have been 8th on my list. And he was 12th on my overall list for all the reasons you guys have said. So it was close, but it was just the injuries, longevity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, number 7 for me, I'll introduce a new name that we haven't talked about, is Charlie Leibrandt. On a staff where, really think about it. Brett Saberhagen is on the staff. Mark Gubiza is on the staff. Danny Jackson's on the staff. But Charlie Leibrandt was the guy, in talking to people, that really kind of brought it all together. And, left-handed. And I think people don't, really understand just how good he was, because he was kind of overshadowed by those other guys. But, pile up innings, 200 innings all the time, ERAs in the 3s, even dipped down in 85. He had a 269 ERA, pitched big games in that run in 85. To me, he's the left-hander that everybody's looking for. We need a lefty, and we need a guy we can, run out there every 5th day. That was Charlie Leibrandt. And, I think he's the most underrated pitcher in Royals history. That's what I would say about Leibrandt. I mean, he was much better than people realized. Did he make anyone else's list?
Yeah, he was 8 on my list.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He was, and it was, kind of like the 1-2. It was kind of a coin flip, him and Busby 7-8. So we almost had the same on Leibrandt.
Yeah.
All the reasons. Just super glue guy on the staff. Really important in a World Series win, which I think counts for something. All that. Yeah. And I mean, you look at his World Series, 2 starts, 16 1/3 innings, 2.76 ERA. He was 0-1, but who cares? He was really good in the World Series. He was very important.
Yeah. Okay. So that takes us now. We're through 8, because Greinke's 8 on Les Norman's. Charlie Leibrandt's 8 for you. 8 is Paul Splitter for me. We're down to number 9 on Les, because Quiz is 9 for David. Jeff Montgomery is 9 for me. Who's number 9 for you, Les?
Anybody that can pitch almost an entire season with even a partially torn UCL, I've got to put on my list. So Greg Holland is my number 9. I mean, he was an all-star 2 times, but in the 14 postseason, when you get 7 saves with an 0.82 earned run average, even though that we're talking about one season, he was better for, more seasons than that. I think from 11 to 14, had 113 saves with a 1.86. So again, that's impressive. But again, I mean, pitching that whole time with your arm blown out. I know if it's partial is different from fully torn, but you still feel it. Your arm is hanging. I think there was a quote there that someone once said something about if his right arm would have fallen off, he'd have thrown with his left hand to try to get you out, that bulldog mentality. So, yeah, I had to put Holland on my list, because when Holland came in the game, there was such an incredible buzz when I would go to those games and see that. And yes, they had the Holland, Davis, Herrera threesome, but you get Holland in there, man. It was just such a different excitement. The game's over. I mean, Holland's coming in, game is over, and usually it was. So he was my 9.
He made my list as well. I will offer he's number 10 on my list. So my list, I think, is completely off the board. Greg Holland, I loved Greg Holland. Loved the mentality. And I don't know how, and you talk about an undersized guy listed at 5'10". Monty was listed at 5'11" when you talk about size-wise. I don't know how he did what he did. I know how he did it. He wrecked his arm doing it. And I remember, I went to him one time when he was at the peak of his powers, right? Like, it was one of the times that he was, I'm trying to look here, probably would have been in probably would have been in 14, spring training of 14. I said, Mariano Rivera he was an overpowering guy with fastball and all this stuff, but he came up with the cutter to, lessen the wear and tear on his arm. Like, have you ever thought about, do you ever think about trying to do a different pitch or something? I said, because the ball it looked like an optical illusion, the things that he could do with the baseball. And he goes, getting big league hitters out is hard. I need every bullet I got, and I'm going to fire them as long as I can. Mm. And that was his mindset. Like, no, the answer was no, because I'm coming at you with everything I got every time. And that made him electric. I mean, I think he was the most dominant. I know Wade Davis, people are going to say, well, Wade Davis, and it's close. But Greg Holland was untouchable. Did he make your list, David? Is he the other reliever?
Yeah. My list is done now because he was also my number 10. He was the one who just squeaked ahead of Montgomery because of the postseason. And I have two things that pop in my head. Well, three, actually. The first one, I vividly remember a game. I believe it was against the Angels in 2011. He threw 2 2/3 innings, I think perfect, with 6 strikeouts. And that was the moment when I was like, okay, Greg's here. Because I loved him as a prospect. I loved him as a relief prospect. And he came up in 2010 and wasn't great. And he thought, okay, maybe he's just another one of those guys. But that game was incredible. The 2014 playoffs, when I think it was his son was born. Might have been his dog. One of his kids was born. And he was driving to the stadium during the game and then got the save. I mean, come on. Those are folk hero stories. And that's not even to mention how good he was. I mean, 1.21 ERA in 2013, 1.44 in 2014, 103 strikeouts in 67 innings in 2013, 90 and 62. And then to Les's point, the arm hanging by a thread. Like, he went out there and dominated that postseason. And I actually talked to him in 2014 spring training also. And to your point, I'm a little under 6'3". I say I'm 6'3" because it's close enough. It was like I was talking to somebody 10 years younger than me. He was not 5'9" or 5'10" or whatever he was listed at. I think he'd agree with that. But just the best interview. I mean, he understood pitching exceptionally well. I think that was an underrated aspect of his game. He really knew how to pitch. And that's probably why he was able to be successful even without that stuff. I mean, 2020, weird year, whatever, he was great for the Royals. He was actually legitimately great for the Royals. Sub-2 ERA, 20 hits and 28 in the third innings, 31 strikeouts. He only walked 7. Yes, it fell off after that. But he was outstanding. That was at 35 or 34 years old. And the stuff was not, I mean, he was throwing 92. This was not peak Greg Holland. He got hitters out.
Yeah, no, I think we all share the admiration for Greg Holland. That means that there's only one name left. It's who is number 10 on Les Norman's list.
Yeah, guys, Busby was right there. Lee Brent was right there. And I can say another time, even on the emotional one, Fitzy was in there.
Yep.
I threw Fitzy on that list too, because he only hit 9 batters in 1,100 innings. I mean, if you look at that list, 9 batters. I mean, that's incredible.
But always threw inside.
What's that?
He was always throwing inside and still didn't hit. He controlled the plate without hitting a guy.
And he has the highest win percentage in Royals history as well.
Yeah. And he was a converted position player.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, there's so much amazing stuff. But
and incredible, while we're taking a moment for Fitz, which I thoroughly enjoy, incredible storyteller.
Yeah.
And, funny, witty, tremendous broadcaster. I do remember him telling the story about being cut as a position player. And I was like, and I said, what'd you say? He goes, I said to him, have you seen me pitch? And that's how it really was. He was an outfielder and they cut him. He's like, well, hold on. Have you seen me pitch? And went on the mound like, okay, let's give it a try. Basically talked his way back into the organization. Mm-hmm. Like, no, you haven't seen me pitch yet.
Yeah, and did it for 10 or 11 years. I mean, that's amazing to me. So,
and inspired the mascot Slugger.
Yeah.
Because if anybody looks like Slugger, it's him.
Yeah. Great, one of the great guys to hang out with. So my 10 coming back there was Larry Gura. I threw Gura in there just because, when you have over 100 wins, in a Royals uniform. That's pretty good. He had 111 wins with a 3.72 earned run average. So, but again, and no offense to Larry Gurr, could have been him, could have been Busby, could have been Lee Brandt, could have been Fitz. I went with the 111 wins just because I think that that's a pretty big milestone.
Number 11 on my list, Larry Gurr. He was the first guy not to make it. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad he's on there because another underrated guy from those 70s, 80s teams, and big time pitcher. Yeah, I'm glad he's on there. All right, so what was the toughest cut? Did you have a toughest cut? The hardest one that didn't make the top 10, David?
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, Larry Gurr was close. One name, I don't know if he was a tough cut necessarily, but I want to bring up Danny Duffy because I think that he is. It was an uneven career at times, and for a number of reasons. But you look at the numbers: 1,172 innings, 110 ERA plus. He only won 68 games because the Royals stunk for a lot of the time he was there. But Duffy had some seasons. I mean, I think about that game in 2016 against the Rays. That he was the 16 strikeout game that was a no hitter until like the 7th or late in the game, whatever it was. I mean, he was a really good pitcher, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that because he missed some time. He had the injuries, but once he came back from Tommy John, he had the 5.64 ERA his rookie year. When he came back from Tommy John, he was legitimately good. Like I don't think he got enough credit for how good he was, and he was in my next 5.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Danny Duffy. One of my favorite guys to talk to. It's a straight shooter, good dude, and I think Danny Duffy might have been on this list with a bullet if the Royals could have developed more starting pitching and pushed him back to the bullpen. I will always wonder what the career of Danny Duffy would have been because he'd have control issues. But if they could have just weaned down the pitches, the ones that he could perfect and just unleash him out of the bullpen, because like when he had that 1 year in the pen, it was tremendous. And I think he could have been a top shelf closer for like a decade if they could have got him out of the rotation. But it's one of the things like Luke Hochevar. What would Luke Hochevar's career have been if somebody else would have pushed him out of the rotation? He got him back to the bullpen where he thrived. I know it was a disappointment when you take a guy up that high. You want him to be a 200 plus game winner as a starter, but like it wasn't happening and they just kept running him out there. And I think it would have been great to have seen his whole career as a reliever where he would have been on this list. I've got one other name. Is there any other name you want to mention? Les, I have one name I want to throw into the mix.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that we're close. Is it a starter or reliever is your other name?
My other name is a starter.
Oh, okay. So it is different reliever. My starter or my other pitcher would have been Joakim Soria. He just missed the cut for me.
Yeah. Same for me too.
Yeah, I had him in my others receiving votes list, but I'm going to mention David Cone. I went in this wanting to put David Cone on here, Kansas City kid, Rockhurst guy. The Royals traded him in a deal that didn't end up working out, and shaped the organization's view of things for like 20 years because of the fear of having another David Cone trade. And was a guy that was given, I think it was 3 years, 18 million, which was the most per year, 6 million per year, was the most per year a pitcher had been given when Mr. Kaufman basically said, I'm going to right the wrong when we made the mistake of trading him, and I'm going to pay whatever it takes to get this guy back. And brought him back and had a Cy Young year, just not the quantity of the bulk of work to put him on there, but another guy that go look at the Earl, I don't know where they started tracking pitch counts, but it was sometime in his career and 150 something, 160 something on the pitches for David Cone. He was an amazing pitcher. So I just I wanted him to be on this list. Just couldn't justify it over the guys that I did have on here.
Great call though.
I want to mention him.
I want to name one more because Cone was in consideration. I wonder where this is a sad story, but I wonder where Yordano Ventura would be. If he had, would he have been? I think he would have been top 10. Yeah, because he had 4 years left on his contract that he signed still. So you're looking at 17, 18, 19, 20. At that point, they're kind of an organization that would re-sign him potentially. Like he could still be in the rotation today. Yeah. And it's a what if, obviously, but he was tracking toward that too.
Yeah, and really he was a big part. His passing was a big part of what brought the Royals down. They went out and signed Ian Kennedy for really more money than they usually did because they're like, well, we got to replace this guy. And Ian,
Kennedy was the year before. It was Jason Hamill they signed to replace him.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because they got Kennedy before 2016. He had a good year in 2016, and then they signed Hamill after Ventura passed away.
I was thinking Ian Kennedy was the guy they got for him, but maybe
no, because they pitched together in 2016. But yeah, it was that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if not for that day in January of 2017, I think the Royals, they finish out that run with that group and make the playoffs in 2017. But they got off such a terrible start that there was just no chance.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because what would it have been if he didn't pass? Like what because he had great stuff.
Yeah.
And he really hadn't put it together, completely together when he did pass. So yeah, I think that's a good name to mention as well. And I'm looking here, 16. Yep. I stand corrected yet again. They were both on the team.
That's what I'm here for, man.
That's right. Well, we like to get it fact correct, right? Listen, again, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas here and hope you enjoyed our top 10 list. Remember, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors like Northland Injury Law. If you have a case, if you've been hurt in an accident or a fall, maybe at work, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. Voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers. Greenlight Dispensary, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Greenlight, your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you heard about it here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. Our friends at Whataburger, now for a limited time, check out that Bacon Wrangler Double. It is wonderful. My favorite, the Patty Melt. Go get it. They're open 24 hours a day, serving breakfast, 11 p. to 11 a. Thank you for doing that, by the way, as I'm a huge fan of the late night breakfast. And of course, our friends at Frontier Justice, Lee Summit, KCK, Jenks, Oklahoma, 3 locations. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, find expert staff, top gear, and a strong sense of community at Frontier Justice. Find them online at frontier-justice.com. For Les Norman, for David Lesky, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.